Okay, I'm just going to present what I'm going to present. You take it any way you want. It's not meant to offend anybody or not offend anybody. I'm looking for the truth. Every culture on Earth, 100%, had dragons and giants and a great flood. 100%. Everybody had the same story. The only thing is different is who was their god. The regional area, the Jewish whole setup there, that was a regional thing. That was not worldwide. There was a story of a family and tribes and so forth that were set up in a regional area. In my mind, I could be wrong, but this was not worldwide. And when I'm talking about not worldwide, I'm talking about things like Quetzalcoatl and that sort of stuff. We know he exists, and he exists virtually the same as Typhon. And that was written about in the ancient texts in the Middle East. I know they're regional. The size of the creatures is just overwhelming. But we have to look at what we're looking at and try to think about it, at least. I think about it. It's overwhelming. And because they're talking about the sun god. You know, when I said they all had giants and dragons, well, they all had the sun as their god as well at one time. Is he really the sun, the one that gives off light of its own accord? That's what Jesus said. In the Nag Hammadi text, I've been reading the Nag Hammadi text, and there's a lot in there that make a lot of sense to me. He says that we are light. We are literally made from light. And we come from the one who gives off the light of his own accord. I'll read you the story. This says it right here. Jesus said, if they say to you, where have you come from? Say to them, we have come from the light. We have come from the light. From the place where the light came into being by itself. It established itself and appeared in their image. Where have you come from? We have come from the light, where it established itself. Where is that? That's the sun. That's the only place I can think of. And then it says, and it appeared in their image eventually as it congealed and so forth. If they say to you, is it you? Say, we are its children. We're the children of the light, and we are the chosen of the living Father. If they ask you, where is the evidence of your Father in you? Say to them, it is motion and rest. Light is motion. And the same light can be at rest. And it makes everything there is. All right, this is Nag Hammadi text, discovered in 1945. A huge volumes, 52 texts, I believe, and they're in regular books. And this one here is the Gospel of Thomas, and these were recording sayings of Jesus when he was here walking around in flesh. And it was recorded by Didymus Judas Thomas, was supposedly doubting Thomas, and these are the secret sayings the living Jesus spoke. And Didymus Thomas recorded. It says, first of all, whoever discovers the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death. You're not going to understand all of them, I can guarantee you that. You just have to try to interpret it, what it means to you. Jesus said, those who seek should not stop seeking until they find. When they find, they will be disturbed. When they are disturbed, they will marvel and will reign over all, and after they have reigned, they will rest. Well, you're absolutely going to be disturbed, and you're absolutely going to marvel. You just have to look at what's in front of your face. This is another thing. He says, know what is in front of your face. And what is hidden from you will be disclosed to you. There is nothing hidden that will not be revealed. These are not something that's not in the Bible. I think all this stuff is in the Bible mostly too. And there is nothing buried that will not be raised. Now he goes against the, well, 39 is a killer here for academia and our rulers. Jesus said the Pharisee, which is the top religious people, and the scholars, which is the academics, have taken the keys of knowledge and have hidden them. They have not entered, nor have they allowed those who want to enter to do so. So the Pharisees and the scholars have taken away your ability to think virtually, and basically that's true. Okay, a lot of the ancient texts have a lot of stories about gods being dismembered and so forth, and the Aztec say that he defeated his siblings, dismembering and killing their leader, who was Quetzalcoatl, whose head became the moon. Now, I'm going to show you that's not true. It's just not true. I know what the moon is, and you will too if you pay attention. We know that Typhon did not have a human head. They thought he did because it said he was a human hybrid, but his thighs were the human part. His head is a dragon. We know that's for a fact because he's laying right out there. And the same thing we know with Quetzalcoatl. He looks exactly like he was represented. Typhon it's a no-brainer. This is exactly what he looks like, and this is where he is in North Africa. You can't miss him, and he is attacking a giant fish, exactly what was written about. Exactly, identical to what was written about. And there's his head. He was a dragon. So he did not have a human head as he's depicted even in the ancient times. So forgetfulness is quick. Okay, this was what was written, is that Hetchupatli was a demander of human sacrifice, blood. He needed blood every day to continue his journey of chasing people around through the universe. All right, this says that just about everything you thought about Aztec sacrifice is wrong. They did sacrifice blood, and they gave up little trinkets and so forth, but nothing like they did in the Roman and the where they just tortured people. Absolutely horrendous things that they write about in here. Boiling people alive, putting them in these iron things and cooking them alive, and just doing terrible, terrible, terrible things. So the Aztecs, they did apparently do some of that stuff, but not like they did in the Western cultures, where they did it in circuses. They did it just for sport, for daily, having a good time. Let's go watch a bunch of people get eaten by lions. That's the kind of stuff they did. And they had no conscience about it at all. But they found these where they were cutting their tongues open to bleed and so forth. They found that very, very distressing. And they did do that kind of stuff, apparently, that's what they say, in order to give back to the earth blood, which was the most sacred thing. And that's not just the Aztecs that believe that. Blood, even in the Bible, I think it says blood is the substance of life or something like that. See, this is Leviticus. It says the life is in the blood. It originates from the Bible, specifically Leviticus, which states, "For the life of the flesh is in the blood." Yes, if you don't have the blood flowing through there, your flesh is going to die. All right, so back to my claim that they didn't realize, even a few hundred years after things had passed, that like Quetzalcoatl, well, Quetzalcoatl, they have exact pictures of him, but Typhon, they thought he had a human head. He didn't. He had a head of a dragon. We can see that very, very clearly. Of these things, there are no questions. But Quetzalcoatl, he looks exactly what he's laying on the East Coast. Now here he is eating a gigantic human, because he was gigantic. That's what I'm seeing. Now, was that to protect humanity? Because he was not a He didn't demand sacrifices, they say. That's what they say. Now, here he is here. Here's his head. Goes all the way up the East Coast. There's his headdress. And that's Quetzalcoatl. And here's way up the end, up they call it the Green Mountains. These are his feathers. That's way up here. This is exactly identical to what it shows here. So, but he didn't demand human sacrifice. However, here he is eating somebody. I don't know. That's what I mean. This is all clouded and it's foggy. It's like a dream. It's like a memory you don't really remember, but you think you remember something about it, and they didn't remember. So they sort of went off on their own way and wrote these stories. And all of these stories were the same. They were not all the same. When I say they were the same, they were similar in form, but they were different deities and acting somewhat differently. And some of them being real bad guys and some of them being good guys. And this is going to require so much research. I just don't have I can't do it. So I'm pretty much researched out. So let's think about this a little bit. Could the Son of God be the son of the Son? Is that possible? And how does Jupiter come into this? Because Jupiter fits into this in some form or another. And does all the pieces fit together if the sun was literally the God? But the sun is just basically a star, as far as I can determine. And there are just billions of stars. So is every one of those a God? It leaves that door open. All right, I don't discount any of these ancient texts anymore. However, this one I do. This is Quetzalcoatl was an important Aztec god, sun, war, and human sacrifice. Now, here's right why I reject this right down here. It's because he cast her head into the sky to become the moon, and his brothers became the stars. He attacked all kinds of people, but his sister, the moon goddess, and his brothers, the stars, tried to kill their mother. So Quetzalcoatl emerged fully grown and armed to defeat and dismember his sister. He cast her head into the sky to become the moon. That's her sky. There is no head in sky that is our moon. I'll show you what our moon is. This is our moon right here. This is the side that we don't see. This is an artery, and that is a vein. And those two supply blood and return the blood from a tendon enthesis, which this is a tendon enthesis. Now there's two other spots here. These two spots transfer the lymph fluids. Now here's the other shot of this. That's got a little valve there. Veins have valves. Arteries do not have valves. it ripped the skin and the attachment right off. There's a stalk that comes right down to here. And here's what it looks like in a creature that's alive. There's the stalk right there. And here's the two things that ripped out. And here's what it looks like. This is Mimas. It's another moon. So the head of we don't have a head for a moon. We have a tendon antithesis. I guess I'll just leave it at that, because it can get so deep on so many ways. But I mean, I have the giant hair. I have giants, DNA tested, parts here and there CAT scan. The things that I am showing really cannot be denied. They can just be dismissed because they intrude. And they're intrusive. I'm not saying they're not, absolutely. But the truth sometimes can be intrusive. And it is intrusive. So let's see how they handle this. I know how they handle it so far. Complete ignorance of it. Forget about it. Don't talk to him. Don't let the guy talk. Keep his numbers so that there's not enough people know about this. And that's where I am at right now. So if you don't start speaking up and hyping and doing all the good things, keeping thumb up and all that, we're never going to get anywhere. And the people are going to still believe. They're not going to think for themselves. That's all I care about. All I want you to do is think for yourself. All right? And that's what Jesus does too. This is not against Jesus, not in the slightest. This is for Jesus, to show that what he came here is to rescue us, to save us from this insanity. And the only way is to put your 100% faith and trust in him, as far as I can determine at this point. Now, that's up to you to make your own determination, but that's mine. All right? I love you all. Bye.